Welcome to Engelberg, a paragliding area right in the heart of Switzerland. Well, it should have been a good paragliding weekend, but things changed a couple of days ago. Now there are a lot of clouds and rain is predicted, and there's already a quite strong wind from the west. Instead of paragliding, this is a good reason to make another video. So let's start with an overview of the area. First, there's a takeoff on an altitude of over 3,000 meters on famous Mount Titlis. The main landing is found in the center of Engelberg. In a narrow valley in the back, there's the Fürenalp Take Off and Landing. Finally, on the left-hand side, we can see the Brunni mountain takeoffs. A windsock next to a river called Engelberger A is indicating the position of the main landing site. The landing site is oriented from west to east. It is huge, about 180 meters long and 70 meters wide. There are not a lot of obstacles. The river to the right-hand side and the sports complex right in front of the landing. A sign at the landing from the Swiss Paragliding Club provides some information about the landing pattern. In the normal case, if the wind is from the west, a right circle on the northwest part of the landing has to be done to get in and around against the wind. If the wind is from the east, everything has to be done the other way around, but in both cases, the pilot should land as close as possible to this box. Walking distance from the landing to the cable car is about 5 minutes from where you can go up Brunni Mountain, where the most favorite takeoffs are located. Here we can see a local pilot getting in for landing. And a final view to the whole landing area from the drone. More than 2,000 meters above the landing of Engelberg, we find famous Mount Titlis, where one takeoff is located. Getting up here is quite an event, as the cable car has to be changed twice and the whole journey takes 30 minutes. The ride up here is about 3 times as expensive as a comparable cable car to a not so famous mountain.
So I am up on Titlis now. Everything is full of clouds, unfortunately, but the takeoff site would be over there. Actually, passing here is not possible at the moment. I think it's due to construction work.
So I tried different places to get a view on the mountain until suddenly the sun came out and I was able to send over the drone. The takeoff is facing to the northwest. With an altitude of 3,160 meters, it is one of the highest publicly accessible takeoffs in the Alps. There are different opinions where the takeoff is exactly located. According to the German Hang and Paragliding Association, it's a little bit further up the mountain. According to some apps, further to the right. I'd rather choose the ridge down here, where later in the afternoon a speed glider started. After a couple of minutes, the sun was gone again, and I went back down to the city to get my car for the next destination, 6 kilometers away in Fürenalp. The landing site is in the middle of a cow paddock between steep rock faces. A small cable car will take up the pilot to the takeoffs. Having arrived at the top station, it's only a couple of minutes walk past some alpine huts towards the launching site. It is a huge alpine meadow that faces southwest and is at an altitude of almost 2,000 meters. The height difference to the landing is about 800 meters. Takeoff here can be done everywhere. During my visit, some speedwing pilots had been around because the area is perfect due to its steep gradient. I had chosen this takeoff place, which was not too steep and a little bit up the mountain. And off we go. Shortly after the start, the terrain already dropped steeply. As already mentioned, that's the reason why this area is also interesting for speedwings. Once the edge of the mountain was reached, Engelberg was visible in the distance. A couple of minutes later, preparation for landing was already required. The landing field is quite long, but not too wide, as there are a lot of bumps around in the meadow, and a safe landing can only be done close to the hiking trail. I would consider this landing a little bit challenging, as there are electricity and cable car cables all around in this narrow valley. But let's give it a try. On the way back with the bike, there was a nice view on Engelberg. Heading towards my last destination, the cable car up to Brunni Mountain. Brunni Cable Car Station is right in the middle of town, about 5 minutes of walking distance to the main landing site. There's a frequent gondola running up to the middle station where you have to change to a smaller chairlift. Up on the mountain, there's a nice plateau where a lot of activities are provided. From here, all the 3 takeoffs can be reached easily by foot. First, there's the south takeoff, just below the southwest takeoff, and up on the plateau, there's the main takeoff. The hiking trail to the south takeoff takes about 15 minutes to reach it. Windfinders are tied to a post and the surrounding terrain is quite steep. With an altitude of almost 2,000 meters, it is the highest of the 3 takeoffs. The height difference to the landing is 960 meters. The landing is right below the takeoff in the valley. Let's move on to the southwest takeoff. This takeoff is always full of spectators because it is next to the main hiking trail. It's quite easy to launch here as the terrain is not very difficult. Actually, it's a huge meadow facing to the southwest. With an altitude of 1,800 meters, it's the lowest of the 3 takeoffs. The plateau with the lake and the cable car station is visible in the distance. From here, it's only a very short walk to the main takeoff.
So this is the main takeoff.
The view of the surrounding mountains and to the valley is magnificent. The top of the takeoff is quite flat, and then it's sloping down but not too steep, so it's quite easy to get out. There is plenty of space at the takeoff for the pilots to prepare themselves. The main takeoff is also the spot for the tandems. There are takeoff options to the southwest and to the west, and the height difference to the landing is about 830 meters. Back down in the valley, some gliders are preparing for landing in the distance. And right in the center of town, this strange sculpture can be found in the park. I hope you enjoyed the video.